So Mr. Michael Bruner had a cousin, and
Yep.
we used to go hang out with all of his family all the time, go to their events,
Yeah.
like cookouts, shit like that.
Yep.
And he had this crazy cousin, and he wasn't the brightest bulb in the bunch, I guess is the nicest way of putting it. All right. Because I remember being at this cookout where we were supposed to go. In fact, it was the day OJ did the historic drive down the interstate at like 30 mile an hour with the cops following him. Because we ended up, because it was a cookout / camp out that you and I decided, let's go look for a tent. And when we were done, we're like, fuck this. We'll just go to a hotel and we'll see them in the morning.
Exactly.
And we watched OJ drive down the road for freaking 2 hours.
Right.
So anyway, and we ordered pizza. That's all I remember.
Yep.
And but anyway, so we were at this cookout,
Yep.
and he comes rolling in, and he's got this Chevy like square body, which is like an 80-ish, pickup truck, orange. I just remember it was orange, and kind of rickety and raggedy, and you could hear it like jiggling and jangling coming in, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of cool looking, and Mike always likes to spark a conversation, so he goes, hey Jason, he goes, yeah, that truck of yours over there, that's pretty cool, man. He's like, yeah, I can't, you know how hard it is to find a 4x4 Chevy, K5 Chevy. Yeah, I took a Blazer and I took the top off of it and put a truck top on it instead. And we're like, you couldn't find a 4x4 pickup truck, Chevy pickup truck? It's like, okay, whatever. It's like, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Sure, right.
So we went to go look at it, and now to explain this to you, now I would have rather had the Blazer myself,
Right.
but to explain this to you, when you went in this truck, like the gauges were in there, but they didn't work.
Oh gosh.
The wires are just dangling from inside the dashboard, and nothing's hooked up.
Oh.
And he's got like this little doodad. It's the ignition, like it's not even the ignition for the steering wheel. It was like just hanging on the side of the dashboard, like underneath, just dangling, and that's how you started it.
Oh my word.
And he's like, yeah, I'm still putting it together, but I thought I'd drive it out here for, since we're going out here in the,
Oh my gosh.
maybe we
The
go to a
mud.
mud event or
Yeah,
something
right.
afterwards, or go 4x4. And then we're like,
Sure.
he just wanted to show everybody his shit,
Yeah, that's cool.
which is fine.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Right.
But it was just funny because we're all like, why didn't you just, been just that much easier to figure out,
Well,
So, but
he was into putting it
but
together himself.
Jason was a crazy son of a bitch. So
Yeah.
So it was like, crazy and stupid normally goes together a lot of times.
True.
So while we're there, he goes, I could use some extra help. Next time I go out I do repo at night. It's fun, man. You got to come with me. And Mike's like, yeah, you got to go with me. And go with him. And I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. It's like, he goes, I'll call you the next time next time I need somebody or I need to go out.
Right.
Maybe we'll get Mike. You and Mike can go with me. I'm like, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, right.
So
You thinking that phone's never going to ring.
that
right?
phone's never going to ring. And I'm like, that's a great idea. And of course, at this point, we could have been consuming some alcoholic beverages. So you kind of think about, kind of agree to whatever the fuck when you're drinking.
Right.
I mean, you don't think about
sure.
about the back end of this.
Right.
So, so yeah, sure, let's go, man. Yeah,
Right,
that's a great idea.
Woo!
Woohoo! Let's go. So I remember you were living with my sister at the time. It was before we were married.
Yes.
This is how long ago this was.
Yep.
And I remember
I was their nanny.
he's like, yeah, he goes, and Mike's like, oh man, I can't go, but he wants us to go with, we were supposed to all go out.
Right.
And then he shows up at your house.
Yep.
And I left the truck there, and
Yep.
I jumped in his big ass, beast of
a truck, right? Sure.
the 4x4 concocted Blazer K5,
Yep.
put together POS, and So I'm like, okay, that sounds good. And he's like, and when he goes to leave, he goes, well, just so you know, sometimes it's a little hard to start. Gets a little hot and the starter gets hot and you have to just kind of tap it a couple times and it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
So he's like, just in case I'm going to get the car, because we'll go out the first time, we'll get the car, and then that's it. Because it wouldn't start when it was in your parking lot, in your front of your house. So I was like, okay. So I'm like, Mike didn't go, so he's smarter than me at this point.
Sure.
I'm the dumbass that got in a truck with him.
Yeah.
In a truck that doesn't want to start right now.
Right.
And I'm really second guessing my life right now.
Ruh-roh.
I'm like, okay, let's see
right.
what we can do. So long and short is he gets it started. He taps. He says, watch us, tap, wiggle, wiggle, turn the lights off, turns them back on, boom, starts up.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay, tap. I'm thinking, I'm remembering this shit.
Yeah. Remember the sequence.
Yeah, I'm remembering the sequence. So we go to get to the first repo, and we'll call this we were now he was repoing. Well, we talked about this before. They had these buy here, pay here places on the strip, which we used to call Old 301, which was 15th Street East.
Yes.
And it's where everybody that couldn't afford a regular car from a regular dealership
or a regular loan
or whatever went and made a deal with the devil.
Right.
Well, and if you didn't make your deal, they didn't call you and say, hey, you got to go make your payment.
Right.
No, your car just wasn't there in the morning.
Yeah.
It was that simple.
It was, yes, exactly.
There was no warning. There was no waiting.
Warning.
You
didn't
knew
get
you
30,
didn't pay your
60
bill.
days.
Call it a day.
You're out of luck.
The funny part about it is that the stop, you're because it was that kind of deal, it didn't go on your credit. So people would go back and just buy. I knew a guy that went to that we repoed 10 different cars from him. Like Jason repoed, not me directly, but Jason had repoed 10 different cars because that's the next part of the story where he repoed them. And then he'd go back in and it was like he was just getting a new car. He'd put another down payment down and get a different car and drive it home. It was almost like, I'm just tired of this one, so I'll just let him take it and then I'll go get another one.
Oh, my word.
And the guy was making money off him, so he didn't give a shit.
Yeah, of course, right.
Because you're putting a down payment down, which is pretty much like a third of what the car costs.
Yeah.
The guy probably had it for 6 months. He's probably paid off what it's worth.
Right.
The guy gets it back. Now, it's a free car for him to sell to somebody else.
Right.
As long as it's not too screwed up.
Right.
And then, and so off it goes. So we go off to the first repo. And I remember we're going back and we're right in the middle of the hood. Mm-hmm. And over in Palmetto. Yeah. Which anybody that knows Bradenton, Palmetto is like, there's this one area that I'm scared to go down in the middle of the night, windows tent or out. Or not, or driving the Scion to make myself fit in. Right. I won't ride down there.
Yeah.
So, long and short is so we go out to and he pulls in, like the guy's house is here and the road is right here and it's like a T. So he drives down the road. Now this truck is
it's not quiet.
It's not quiet at all.
Sure.
I mean, he's literally got headers and two freaking cherry bombs underneath it.
Oh my word.
So 9 chances out of 10, this guy heard us coming up.
Yeah.
So no lights.
Right.
Up to the light, up to the stop sign, and so no headlights on. He turns his light on and he looks. He goes, "All right, here's the deal. I'm going to go get this car. When I get the car, I'm going to take off. As soon as you see the lights turn on, start the truck and go. Okay? I will probably drive by you, and then you follow me, and we have to go to the first straight, because back then we didn't have cell phones.
Right.
And so we had to go to the first payphone.
Right.
Call the cops.
And let them know you did a repo, so it wasn't stolen.
Yeah, it's not a stolen car. It's a repo, da-da-da-da-da. So now it's legal.
Yep.
Okay, until then, you just stole the fucking car.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, you have paperwork.
Right.
But it gets really dirty really quick without it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm sitting here, and it's dark out, and all I see him is he shines forward, and he's like, fuck. and he sees this truck, and this truck is blocking the car in.
Of course.
And it's a little Sunbird.
Oh,
Okay.
Boy. Fryer chicken.
Which a Cavalier, Sunbird, anybody that's it's a little bitty
From that
two-door Chevy shitbox.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, mine was cool, but
Yeah,
yes.
but it's like.
But yeah, it's a tiny little car.
It's not
basically.
not anything extravagant.
Yeah.
So he goes to start the car. So his idea is you have to check the VIN.
Yep.
He'll look at me, flashed his light twice,
Right.
which gives me the okay to start the truck.
Yeah.
Then then at that point it's like we're on two separate planets at this point.
Yeah.
I'm leaving, he's following me, or wherever he goes.
Or you're following him.
Yeah, and
right.
but I'm not. But you're not allowed to have weapons. You're not allowed to have anything. So
Right.
there's no way to defend yourself if not.
If something happens, right?
Yeah, I mean that's how crazy it gets.
Right.
So at this point, we're like, okay, what the fuck, you know?
Yep.
So I'm at the. I see him go flick flick. I'm like, okay, there it is. I turn the key, click, but this time something totally different happened. I seen a spark underneath the dash.
Oh,
and
God.
everything went off. The gear, the gauges, everything.
Oh,
Headlights,
no.
everything went off.
Oh, shit.
Like as if the battery just died.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. So all of a sudden I hear, rum, rum, rum. And he goes flying through this guy's yard. And you hear, hey, motherfucker. Boom! Shotgun goes off straight up in the air. And I see this fucking flash come out of nowhere because it's pitch black.
Right, yeah.
Okay. He doesn't even have the headlights on the car yet.
Right.
And all you hear is, hey, motherfucker, boom. And it's like, I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So he goes, and at this point, I'm startled because car isn't starting.
Right.
Flick, 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 flick. I'm flicking every fucking.
You're doing the sequence and then some.
I'm
yeah.
like controlling the fucking space shuttle from inside this truck because I'm like pulling knobs, turning the radio on and on.
Messing with wires. Yeah.
And then finally I just hit the dashboard and all lights came back on.
Woo!
And I'm like, woo! And I flick the headlights, started it, boom, starts up. I'm like,
hallelujah.
But remember how loud this is, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not quiet.
I start it. The way you have to start is with the headlights on.
Right.
So he goes. While I'm doing this, he's going through a ditch.
Oh,
and he shoots clean out of the ditch. All you see is dirt and a fucking this Cavalier flying out of the air and land on the ground and take off.
Oh boy.
Guys with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, fuck. And all of a sudden he hears the truck start. He thinks it's over. He turns around. As soon as he turns around, because I see the back of his head when the headlights turned on him, he turns around and you hear, and I'm like, fuck. And I hit the gas. I just turned to the left. I'm like sideways up. Because I got these big mudder tires that are not supposed to be on the road.
Not supposed to be on it. Right.
I'm sideways. And I forget that I'm supposed to shift the gears on the car.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and I'm like, oh, you know. And when I get away, I never hear the shotgun go off. But he's
that's
like,
good.
But yeah, so I'm suddenly like, oh. My heart's like,
right, yeah.
all the way down the road, you know. It's like, ah! So I was like, holy shit. So we get down the road and, you know, we do the normal thing. We take it. So I'm sitting there. We get up to this gas station and we pull in. And he's laughing and, ha, this is so fun. I'm like, I almost died. I said, well, I was the one who got shot at. I'm like, they almost shot me too. It's like, what's wrong? I couldn't get the car to start.
Right.
He goes, what happened? I said, I don't know. Everything went off. He goes, did you hit the dashboard? Yep. But you didn't tell me that.
Right, yeah, exactly.
and he felt so bad that he didn't tell me about that one piece. He's like, all right, you get to do the next one.
Right.
I'm like, oh, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Now I get to get shot at first person instead of second.
I watched you get almost shot through the back of a damn car, watched you go airborne through a ditch, and your crazy dumbass made it through, but that's just about it. So he's like, all right, well, we'll go to the next one. So so now car's legal.
Yep.
And everything. So
yeah, you make your phone call.
So we make the phone call. Now we drive the car back like normal.
Yeah.
Dropped it off at some like hidden lot.
Yeah.
Now the the guy that he worked for, this is the weirdest thing. His hidden lot, because it was cheap land, was a big ass fenced in lot that looked like something Trump would have made.
Oh my God.
Right dead center of Bradenton's hood.
Oh wow.
Like down there where you don't go at night again.
Yeah.
Now
I know
white.
where you're talking
so
about. Yeah.
by where and so there's the laundromat and the strip mall over to the right. You turn down that road and you take a couple lefts and a right.
Yeah.
And there was this big lot of land, like like he had to open the doors. I didn't know if we were hiding cars in there or the friggin' or a T-Rex from Jurassic Park. That's how high the bridge was. I'm like, it's like, you're just waiting for the music to open, to start as you welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell? So he goes, just sit here with the truck. I'll be out in a second. So he drives the car in. And there's a metal, like a trailer, like one of those worker construction trailers in there. So he drops the keys in, he gets in the car, goes, all right, time to go have some fun now. I got a good one for you. He left one here for us.
Oh, God.
Got a good one, huh? Okay, where are we heading now? We're going into the Latino hood. I'm like, oh, shit. So, and I'm thinking, I'm sweating. Okay. It's 60 degrees out, and I'm sweating my ass off because I'm nervous now. He's like, "Oh, no, be nothing nervous. It'll be fine.
No big deal.
No big deal. No big deal.
Yeah.
I'll go out there with you. We'll both walk up, and then I'll just walk down the street and get back in the truck."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay,
sure,
whatever." So we're in the middle of the Latino hood in Palmetto again.
Yeah.
And we're going back and forth down these streets now in the blum, 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 blum machine.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I don't know how many food trucks we passed. I'm dead serious. Food trucks everywhere. It was like down those streets. I'm not joking. And I didn't know this until that day. Was they had these roads, and they go down. And at the end of the roads, there the guy would live in the neighborhood, and he would set up his food truck on Saturday nights.
At the end of the road?
At the end of the road. And these people that live there, instead of having to cook, would just get, it was super cheap.
Yeah, I bet.
And he would do these super cheap things where he's making money, they're getting fed, everybody's happy.
Everybody's,
And I'm like, man, these people are more, they make us look like a bunch of fools compared to, they got the shit down.
It, organized.
So anyway, back to the story.
Nice.
So we're going up and down these roads. And he goes, I can't find the car. I'm like, well, where's the address? He goes, I know what the car looks like. But what's the address? He goes, here, you look at the paperwork. He never even looked for the address.
Oh my God.
We're in the middle of the Latino hood.
Right.
Going up and down streets.
Right.
With aimlessly because he thinks he knows what the car looks like.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
So we find the address. And the guy knows, everybody that has this, they play the game.
Of course.
Whether they park a car in front of it, they park it behind their house.
Right.
Whatever the case may be.
They try to hide it. Right.
Well, this guy tried to hide it behind his house under a vinyl, like a big car. Like a
tarp.
Like a tarp.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, does this thing even fucking run? I'm really concerned at this point.
Right.
He's like, no, but you're going to love this one. And I'm like,
oh, goody.
Oh, God. Here we go. So he goes, we got to find the VIN number. And so we're going to walk behind this guy's house now. We're walking in this guy's private property.
Oh, great.
In a place that two white dudes
don't fit in.
Like we're not white. We're neon white. This guy makes me look tan.
Right.
If that tells you anything.
Yeah.
I was tan compared to him. All right. You see me? Okay. I was tan. Okay. I look Latino compared to this guy. He was like red-haired white. Like the white. Okay. Ginger white with the fucking freckles and everything. Okay. I mean, it looked like he was spray painted white, literally. He only came out at night to repo.
Well, hey.
I'm like, dude, you should wear some clothes, like black clothes, something, Mm-hmm. And so he's walking out there with his freaking wife beater and a pair of shorts and flip flops.
Oh my word!
I'm walking back there. I got my tennis shoes, my shoe, my outfit, and my little OP shorts, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
So we start walking back there, and sure as hell, it was there's this car under the tarp, and it wasn't a big car. So I was like, what the hell did they buy?
Yeah.
And I noticed that the back wheels were not on the ground.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Oh, they do that all the time. So they can't, we'll just have to push them off the bricks. What? Just give it a little nudge. Push it off the bricks. I'm like, it's a real wheel drive. It's like 3,000 pounds. And so we start taking the cover off.
Mm-hmm.
It is the flashiest. Now I know why a guy couldn't afford his damn car payment, because he had $5,000 in a paint.
What?
We were talking serious, like gangster, cholo, Latino lowrider.
Oh my gosh.
Capri,
I want one of those.
The Cutlass Supreme.
Yeah.
80s Cutlass Supreme, little
Right.
2-door.
Yeah.
And he's got the backup on bricks. And so he goes, well, let me look underneath it real quick to make sure we can drive it before I push it off this thing. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, it's
God.
kind of a good idea.
Probably a good
And
thing
he looks
to
down there,
think
yep,
of. Yeah.
yep, looks good. Springs are there. Everything's attached. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going by whatever you say at this point.
Right.
I don't know what the hell's underneath a Latino lowrider. It's
Right. Yeah.
but this thing was blue, and it had all these fucking colors, and it was like 17 layers of paint on this thing.
Wow.
And it's like, so
No wonder he kept it covered. He didn't want to give it back.
yeah, if this describes it any, chain steering wheel,
Ooh.
freaking shag hair carpeting
Right.
all the way around the seats and the
Nice.
dashboard, the dingleberries off the top,
Right.
the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
It was ready to frickin' rock. Okay.
Right.
I mean, James and I would love to have this car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he obviously,
That'd be my daily
this was the
driver
car
at this point.
yeah. So this wasn't the guy that just changed out his car all the time. This was a
Right.
separate one.
Yeah.
So I'm still thinking we're doing the other one, which we weren't. So this guy's going to be, I had a good feeling he probably was part of a gang.
Yeah. Maybe.
Just
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So you hear the dude inside. He's talking on the phone, and I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna fucking know anytime where he's up. And Jason's like, shh. I'm like, he's fucking up. He's like,
Yeah.
shh. We gotta get this car.
Yeah.
So he gets the cover off, and he checks the VIN, and he has to open it. He goes, so he unlocks the door of the car, and it's an old car, so it goes clunk.
Of course, yeah, it makes noise.
And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's like got the biggest lump of clunk you ever heard.
Yeah.
And so he goes inside because he has to move the hair shit out of the way.
Right.
He's like, all right, read the VIN real quick. And he pulls this cover off the dashboard. And I'm like, okay. And I give him, because it's just the car. It's the car. He says, get in it. I'll push you off. Just get in.
Yeah.
Get in. So he sticks the key in. So I stick the key in, lights up. He goes, lights up? I'm like, yeah. He goes, all right, tap the starter. I'm like, do you know if it has exhaust or anything? I mean, I start this, the whole Latino gang is going to be like shooting at me at any given time.
Exactly.
Or they'll know what I look like and everything else. I'm like,
Right.
whether we're legal or not, this might be my last day on earth.
Right.
Exactly. So he's like, it's okay. Shut the door and I'll push you off. I was like, all right. So you see the car, and boom, it hits the ground. And I mean, I thought the back of the car just hit the ground, and it was stuck there because that's how low this car was.
Oh shit!
No shocks.
Oh my God.
At all attached to the back end of the car. Now, he neglected to look for those.
Okay.
He found the springs.
Okay.
No shocks.
Oh jeez.
The reason why it was up on blocks is because the guy cut the springs shorter.
Oh
lower the ass end to give it that cholo thing going on.
Yeah. What do they call that? Bulldogging?
Yeah, like that's for trucks, but yeah,
Right.
similar thing, bulldogging.
Yeah.
Like it was like this, so it just rolled like this, and the front had
Right.
hydraulics on it.
Oh my God. He was putting hydros on the back.
So he was putting hydros on the back, and we just interrupted his day.
Whoops.
So long and short, boom. Back to the story. I start the car. The alarm starts to go off.
Oh no.
And then so I start to pull out. I hear doot doot. Now I know he knows I'm out there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck. And Jason looks over me and goes, hit the fucking gas already.
Right.
And I'm like, oh shit.
Right.
And I fucking bail out of this guy's like thing and I get out to
Oh my God.
there could have been that much of a lip from the dirt road that little dirt drive
Yeah.
to the asphalt. Bang!
Oh my
The
God.
gas
like you
tank
jumped
hits
off
the
a curb.
fucking the
Oh,
ground. That's how low we
jeez.
were.
Oh my God.
So I get out there and I pull out, and we lived in Palmetto at the time.
Yes.
So I knew where I was at.
Right.
So I was like, all right, well, we got to go to the gas station. I know where that's at.
Right.
I'm going to the one closest to the bridge because when Cholo bastard gets in his other car,
Yeah.
he's going to be looking for us.
Yeah.
So we get up there.
And you're hard to miss.
And
in
Jason's
this thing.
like, blah, 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 in the
Right,
fucking in the 4x4 Chevy behind me, you know. So I'm like, okay, and I was like, yeah, this doesn't say anything.
Right.
So we get up to the gas station. He calls it in. He's like, all right, we got to get the fuck out of here. That's all I got to say. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Now you're nervous. You weren't nervous when we were in the guy's fucking parking lot.
Right,
you know,
yeah, exactly. Thanks,
you're like
buddy.
4 cars in there. I'm
Yeah.
dodging cars and everything else. And I'm like, what the hell, you know?
Sure.
So now I got a steering wheel this big,
The teeny tiny chain
and I
steering
thought,
wheel.
man, this is fun. I can't wait to drive this. I'm going over going over the bridge. So we get over that bridge over by in the bridge. You know how bridges have that whoop
Yeah.
whoop. Well, in a regular car, you don't feel that.
Yeah.
In this thing, it was magnified by 10.
Oh.
So I'm like, and I turn on the radio, and I'm driving this little car with this little steering wheel. Like, by the time I get to the top of the bridge, I'm sick
Yeah.
because I'm like,
You're like seasick.
I'm
from
motion
it.
sickness.
Yeah.
I get to the top and I'm like, just get me off the fucking bridge. So I get off the bridge. It's like, and it's like every third one you hear scrape,
Yeah.
scrape of the ass end of the fucking car.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh shit. So again, we got to go back to the hood.
Yeah.
So now I feel a
Go
little
lock the
comfortable
car
because
up, right?
I got limo tinted windows
Right.
with the big.
Yeah.
It's like
Arriba,
Arriba, you know,
ándale,
music
yeah.
going on in the background with the CD player rolling with the big speakers, you know.
Yeah.
No bass, just
Right. All the mids and highs.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
like, and it's like you just went, you're waiting for it to stop, and somebody go charge,
Right.
you know. It's like,
Olé!
Olé! So now we're down 41 and I'm cruising. I'm like, okay, I'm good. We're out of the hood. I know where I live. I live around here.
Right, yeah.
You know,
Life
I'm
is
around
good.
here. Life is good.
I'm
I
still
can do this.
alive, right?
I'm still alive. I can get away from anybody right now. And I know where the police are and everything
Right,
else. So
yeah.
I'm good. Well, so we turn into the hood. And I go down 57th, which is the hood road.
Yep.
And the light right there, and I go to turn, and so the light's green, and he flies by me, you know, to open the doors.
Yeah.
And which I knew what he wanted me to do. He just wanted me to drive in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, oh, okay. I don't slow down because I'm used to a normal car.
Yeah.
And when I say I'm not slowing down, I mean like I'm doing 40 in the Cholo wagon, and I turn the corner, and right in the middle of the road is a like a sewer thing that kind of comes up a little bit.
Oh, the
in there.
manhole cover.
The manhole cover.
Yep.
So there's the laundromats over here, and there's always people in the laundromat no matter
Yep.
what time of the night it is.
Right.
And it was like 10, 11 o'clock, and all these guys are sitting there doing their laundry. I hit this fucking manhole cover at 40 mile an hour, and you hear bang! It sounded like I shot a shotgun off. Like you were okay, and then the car flies up in the air and hits the ground, and I'm in the car, windows up, and I can see the sparks coming from the side of the car when it hits the ground. boom, it hits the ground. It's like, and then it comes back up because there's no shots. It does it again. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm like sitting there going, I'm gonna fucking die. And at this point, I look to the right where the laundromat is, and everybody's scattering. They're like everywhere. They're running like, what's happening? I don't know. What did I do? Sound like somebody shooting at us. Somebody shooting at us and drive by. The Latinos are coming after us.
They seen that car and they knew.
It's like the Latinos are coming for the Cholo wagon. They're coming after us. They're coming after
They
us.
freaking knew.
It was like he opens up Jurassic Park. I turn the corner, fly in and park it. I'm like, I'm done.
Right, yeah.
He's like, oh man, we got one more. It's the easy one. No
easy ones.
No more easy ones.
No such thing.
There's no such thing. It's 11 o'clock.
I gotta go.
I've had an eventful night tonight.
Right.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, keys are in it. I'm not even touching the fucking car. So he's like, all right, well, let me get the keys. You know, I would like you to stay with me, but if you gotta go, you gotta go. I'm like, and I was like, I got work in tomorrow. Oh, okay, whatever, you know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, whatever, man. It's like, I even gave you the easy one. I'm like, easy one.
That was easy.
That was the easy one.
Great.
And like, fuck. So anyway, so you think the story ends here, and it doesn't. So he goes and puts the keys in. We lock up Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And getting a freaking K5 Chevy Blazer pickup truck
modification.
Modified. Yeah. And he's driving me back.
Adaptation.
There you go. And we're driving back to where you're at.
Yep.
Which is down the street a little bit. So
we
go out and we go back in and pull in and he's dropping me off and I'm like, huh. He's like, well, we had fun, and I'm like, yeah. And after a minute or two, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of fun. He goes, well, you want to go get? No, not tonight.
Not tonight. Yeah.
Not today. He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go get this other car and I'll go sit and I'm gonna call Bruno real quick and see if he wants to go with me. I'm like, good luck with that. It's 10 o'clock at night. That bitch is sleeping.
He's sleeping.
He's working. He's been sleeping.
Exactly. Yes, definitely.
And so he goes off, and so he leaves, and I think I said hi or bye to you.
Yeah.
And then I got in my truck and I'm like, I'm going home.
Yep.
So I'm heading to Palmetto.
Yep.
And so I pull out of your drive and I'm thinking, life is good, all is well.
Yeah.
And I had this little Ford Ranger.
Yep.
And I pull up at the light and the lights in my car turn on. The door opens on its own and a hooker jumped in.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, I need a ride. That crazy motherfucker just dropped me off here. I'm going to just kick me right out of the car while I was moving. And it's like, and this was.
And you're like, I know why.
Now, mind you, this was a white girl, and she was probably 120 pounds soaking wet.
Oh, geez.
Wearing a muumuu.
Oh, geez.
And I will tell you that she had oranges inside of socks for boobs. And how I knew was because she goes, don't worry, I just need a ride home. I'll do anything for it. It's like, don't worry, I'm not no cop. Whoom, and pulls the muumuu up. And I mean, it looked like she might have been 300 pounds at one time. And she went down to 120 pounds like a crack addict. And her boobs were just dangling down here with it looked like two apples inside of socks just sitting there.
Oh my God.
And then she just had this like 3 rolls of skin that had no fat in them. And she was ragged. I mean,
yikes.
Really, really ragged. I mean, this ain't a 50-footer. This is like,
stay away.
This is just, you seen that driving down the road, you turn the corner and go the other way.
Yes, definitely.
And she's like, it's okay. I just need to get a ride home. And I'm like, I really can't do that. I'm like, I just had a rough night.
Right, yeah.
Oh, I'll do anything. No, it's okay.
Yeah, right, yeah,
you
please.
can keep anything to yourself.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, all right, where are you going?
Yeah.
You know how I am. I'm the most gullible son of a bitch in the world, the nicest guy in the world.
Yes.
And I'm like, where are you going?
Right.
And she's like, oh, over by, where First Street and and Martin Luther King is. You just can drop me off over there by the
on your way
donut
home.
shop.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, it's on my way home.
Yeah.
It's not worth the fight at this point because it's like
Yeah.
a 5-minute drive, and I'm
Right.
going that way
Going
anyway.
that way anyway. Right.
You don't have to give me anything. Just tell me where to go.
Yeah.
I'm driving that way. Oh, I'm so happy about that. And she pulls her shirt up and she starts itching under her boob like butt naked.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh God, please help. I'm looking, there's a gas station across the street. And I'm like, oh, please don't be a cop. Please don't have a cop over there. The scene that I just picked up a hooker.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
It's like,
Even
how
though
am I
she
gonna
jumped in your car.
How am I going to explain to the cop, I got a hooker. Why do you have a hooker in your car? I don't know.
In,
I just
right?
don't know.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. I don't know. Sure, son, let's go have a talk.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to jail. But
Right.
so
Solicitation.
yeah, you know, have you ever heard of solicitation before, son?
Right.
No, I didn't. I didn't solicit anything, and I haven't touched any of that.
Right.
You want to touch it? That's on your on your dime.
She was
not
soliciting,
mine.
not me.
She was soliciting to me. Yeah, sure. I
Yeah,
believe you.
Right.
So anyway, so I'm going down First Street, and over by on the way to Palmetto where I live, and we get up to that light, and she pulls up and she goes, "Oh no, my pimp's here. He's going to want money. He's going to want money. Keep going, keep going, keep going."
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh shit, now I'm stuck.
Now
with
you're
this
stuck with this lady. Yeah.
It's okay, just go down there. Go down there. Go, take a left. Now take another right. I don't think he's seen you. I don't know if he knows. He doesn't know your car. It's okay. Just drop me off here. And right, where I dropped her off at? In front of a fucking church. I'm dead serious. I'm like, sorry,
Jeez.
God.
Probably the best place for her.
I was like, sorry. My bad.
Right?
So I drop her off. Thank God. But here's where shit gets a little funny on the end of the story. Okay, that was the end of it. She got out of the car. Now I get to go home.
You locked the doors.
I literally, she shut the door. I looked down. Nothing's left in the car. Click. I locked that door that fast.
Yeah.
I'm like, we ain't having this again.
Right.
So I start driving. And the funny part about this was that I was working for my brother at the time.
Yep.
And the end our story, 6 months later, he asked me to replace a fridge in one of his apartments.
Yeah.
And he was a bit of a slumlord at the time.
Right.
It was the house that we stopped at first. Was the house. There was nobody living there now.
Right.
He's like, they just moved out. And and I have to replace the fridge because they did something to it and now it doesn't work anymore.
Oh my
God. I was replacing it with another used fridge.
Oh my word.
I went to the thing. I pulled up in the box truck and I'm like, oh, please, nobody be here.
Yeah, right.
I know you.
Right.